So it will be easier to do it definitively, but that's what I would work on with you. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to ask the shepherd to, don't come yet, but you're getting ready, and as soon as the shepherd appears, I want you to be here, right? Right here, and then I want you to sort of keep Maggie busy over here, and then I want you to turn towards the shepherd and start walking to the shepherd, and the microsecond she looks at the shepherd, I want you to turn and walk the other way.
And skip the turn command.
And no, and say turn, sorry, and say turn and go the other way. Okay? Again, we're going way too far too fast, right? Because it's a seminar. It's like dog training class, you know. And if the shepherd could come and do his shepherdly appearance. And no closer. I would get on the red carpet, not on the pattern carpet. Again, distance is always on your side, and this is going to be a big surprise to little Maggie. Sweetie. All righty. And we're ready. Now. I know. Be good. Sit, stay. Good for you. Tell me. Okay, I'll take Maggie for a second.
Hold on her a little bit, didn't I?
So, what did she do well? You said turn way better, and that was great. And what do we know from learning theory and all the decades of psychology experiments on learning? What do we know if an animal is doing multiple tasks and fixes one of them? What happens to the other one? It falls apart, right? How many times have people told you that with dogs? That's what happened. You are concentrating on, this is all new, this is totally different, and I need to say turn right. And she did. And you popped her. You know, and I know you didn't mean to.
I stopped myself a little bit.
And yeah, right, okay? So let's decide now. You've got some nice practice on turn and saying it right. I don't care how you say it this time, all right? Maggie, oh, good girl. I just want you to work on a smooth flow and trying to not use the leash.
Okay.
All right? You know what? I'm going to hold the leash.
Okay. How'd that could work?
Feels nervous, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As soon as you take the leash out of somebody's hand, it just feels scary. And the more people can practice getting their dog to do what they want without a leash, the more empowered they will be. You ready?
She's ready.
Are you okay? Girl, I swear I won't let her go.
Come on, Maggie.
Now. Good. Good girl. Good girl. You did great.
Thank you.
And you know, the only thing you did great, and there's only one thing I'd coach you on about doing differently that time, hi Tootie, is did you see her pet Maggie on the head? Mm-hmm. Did you see how much Maggie liked it? Are you happy there, Maggie? That was punishment. That was a primate thing to do. We talked about that yesterday. Pat, 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 makes you feel good. She hates it. Okay, maybe I won't do that again. So if you want to touch her on her chest, or just a little touch under the chin. So I'm going to hold the leash again. You got her to turn without it, didn't you?
Yes.
Cool, huh? Okay, you ready?
Maggie, come on, let's go.
Now.
Turn.
Good. Good girl. And if you turned sooner, she would have turned sooner, right? The only thing that I coach you on that one, you did very well. Her turn was good, right? The only thing I'd coach you on is to do it a little faster. Okay. Could we have that shepherd come a little closer, maybe 2 steps? And that's good. Good girl. You're doing good. Good girl. You ready?
You're ready.
Okay.
Let's go, Maggie.
Now.
Turn.
Good girl. Good girl. Good job, yeah. Very good. They're everywhere. Doing a good girl. Doing a good job, honey. You're okay, sweetie. You're doing all right. All right. So now we're going to make it a little tougher. And when I cue you, as you're walking towards the shepherd's going to walk towards you, right?
Okay. Do I take the leash this time?
Okay. Nope. Can't have it.
Keep it.
Nope. My leash. Oh, here. Oh, there's a whole bunch in there. And when I say stop, you stop, all right? Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Let's go, Maggie. Turn.
Stop.
Come on, Maggie.
Stop.
Maggie.
Okay, go to her. Go to her.
Maggie. Let's go.
Good, 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 good. Good, good, good. Good girl. Okay, that was harder, right? Good, Maggie, good girl. That was harder, closer, 2 movement at the same time. And here's what you need to practice. Good girl. Good girl. Here's what you need to practice is if she doesn't come, just like watch, you go to her with the treat and lure her around. If she does not lure to the treat, turn and go anyway. And guess what will happen? She'll have to go too because, oh, she's attached. You know? But you're going to do everything with authority. And that's the one thing I would work on with you is I love your gentleness and your humaneness. She also needs you to be like in charge.
Okay.
And remember, being in charge, somebody, who was it who said yesterday that something about, when I was talking about being authoritative in charge, they said, I don't want to be mean. It's not mean to be a parent. It's not mean to be a teacher. Be sure to separate out the concept of leadership and aggression. Being a leader, it's not aggressive. Little kids want parents, you know? Don't confuse those things. Let me just finish with Maggie and then I'll answer questions. Watch. And one thing actually that I'm going to, Maggie, watch. Good girl. Okay. We can illustrate with Maggie. Maggie, watch. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. The basic method, which is to combine these two things. If your dog is overwhelmed, he's sweet, honey. If your dog is overwhelmed, you do a U-turn. If your dog can, you do a watch. Move that little shepherd. Watch. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Watch. Good girl. Very good. Okay. Keep moving that shepherd. Watch. Good girl. Very good. Okay. Good girl. Oh, good girl, good girl, good. I almost missed it, didn't I? Did you see that? Auto watch? And I almost missed it. I was so into thinking about what I was going to say next. Good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl. And move that shepherd closer to him. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good. Good girl. Closer with a shepherd, maybe another 2 feet. Watch. Good girl. Very good. Okay. And turn. Good. Now, I made that turn decision. And you know, it's very subjective. And you can be pretty sloppy about this, at least at that decision. That decision I think could have gone either way. I could have said watch or I could have said turn. I said turn because she'd been doing so well. And did you see the lean? The shepherd was a little closer and I saw, did you see the lean? It looked way more intense. And I thought, okay, I'm going to switch to a U-turn. So anytime you think they're over their head and they can't do a watch, because I want to eliminate those feelings that are sort of a bad habit, you do a U-turn. Make sense? And I think I probably could have gotten away with a watch, but, you know, why not? It's a sweet thing. Does that make sense?
Very much so.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should let Maggie, good girl, she is very treatable. Very, very, very treatable. Because I don't know Maggie that well, but my guess about her is she does not want to be doing this.
She was crying out in the hall the whole time.
I think this is a lot about anxiety. And I might be wrong, I hardly know her. What do I know? I've seen her for 10 minutes. She just does not occur to me as a dog who's like, this is fun. You know, I'm really having a great time barking and lunging. The stress whining, it just makes me think that, and her quickness to do something else. You know, it's like, oh, thank you, give me something else to do, because I had nothing else in my software program. You know, that file crashed, but I don't have another application to go to. I mean, that's a lot of, dogs seem to be so often relieved. It's like, thank you. I didn't know what else to do. Okay? Oh, we're sweet. So, very quiet. Thank you, applause for Maggie. Very quiet applause. Good girl. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you go ahead and get Maggie back in her car and then come on back. You want to go down this way. Okay? We have our dog handlers all ready. Okay. Now, questions? Yes?
When you are practicing the beginning stages of this in your yard,
Yes.
do you want the dog on leash or off
Oh, great question. When you're practicing this, it's a wonderful question. When you're practicing this in your backyard at low levels of distractions, maybe non-dog related distractions, do you want the dog on leaf, or off leaf? I would actually suggest, and this is one of the only cases I would say this, that it's on leash, because the leash becomes one of the triggers. Just putting the dogs often become conditioned. You put the leash on and they're like in a whole different state. So even though my goal is to have dogs do everything we ask them to do without a leash, in this case with dogs who are rude on leash when they see another dog, even if you're in the kitchen, put the leash on. You really want to desensitize the leash. A lot of dogs literally become, you put the leash on and they're like, I'm ready now, I'm primed. I'm primed to go. And there are particular collars in some cases that I think makes things worse. I had a very good conversation with somebody here yesterday about prong collars and about when you would and would not use them, would you ever use them. A lot of dogs, I think prong collars make the problem much, much, much worse. It's understandable that people use them because they do give you a certain amount of control over some dogs. Every once in a while we have people come to a class with a prong collar on and we don't rip their throats out. You know, we're like trying to help them find a way that we think is better. I don't like prong collars. I happen to think that they cause a lot of aggression. So I avoid them whenever I can. But you need to find a system in which somebody has control. And so what you don't want to do is have somebody on a flat collar whose dog is like, I've had clients who have really big dogs who've used both a gentle leader and a sensation harness, or a gentle leader with 2 leashes attached with one person at the other end. I mean, some of the dogs are really bad. You need to set up a safety system where you have total control over the dog, but you also want to do everything you can to avoid a dog reacting, having a conditioned response to some kind of a restraint system that acts as the trigger. Okay? Yes, question?
When you're doing the U-turn, what happens if you have a medium or larger sized dog? 'Cause in my situation, it's happened tonight where I'm trying to do a turn and I work on the watch command, but they just lock their heels and they're not turning.
Oh, okay.
They're big enough that even
Okay, got it. I'm going to repeat it because I didn't think you could hear it in the back. She said, what if you have a medium to large size dog and you do a U-turn, except they don't? No matter, you know, they like set themselves like a post in cement, and you're here, you know, and you're going like Tricia said to just go, and they're not going. Then I would create a physical system that allowed you to do that because you have got to be able to move a dog around in space. And if people can move around 1,200, I used to work with horses for many, many years, and if you can move around a 1,200-pound animal, you can move around a dog, no matter how big they are. So if you put a gentle leader and a sensation harness on them, they'll move. They will. Now, granted, there are a couple of really extremes exceptions who make it really difficult. I actually was working with a Dane who was very dog aggressive, who has dragged his owner across the street. I mean, literally dragging her, like, you know, a horse dragging somebody on the ground, has drug her across the street. And so he was on a gentle leader and a harness, but he would shut down. So his 2 reactions were, I either bark and lunge, and when he went, he blew, and I mean, he was up in the air. He was like a rearing horse. Or he just, you know, fight, flight, or freeze. He just shut down. And he would sit, and you couldn't move him. You know? I mean, you really couldn't move him. So I just had one of those. I know what you mean. And you know what we did? We treated him for sitting. Because he wasn't barking and lunging. We didn't care if he was sitting. Fine, go ahead. Now, we try to avoid that situation because I don't want him shutting down. I didn't like the emotional state he was in. But nonetheless, he'd sit down and we'd say, good boy, treat. And then we'd ask for a little watch. And after he sort of took the pressure on him, then you could say, come on, son, let's go. And then he'd go. So we let him, and that's the only case I can think of in which we let him actually sort of direct the show because he was so profoundly emotionally overwhelmed. And when he was sitting, he wasn't barking and lunging. Yes?
Yes. If you're
If you're in a real life, you're in a real life situation. Unlike this is all fake, you guys. This is, no, I'm just teasing. No, I know what you mean. If you're in your neighborhood and you see another dog, right. And you have a dog aggressive dog.
And it's not new. You wouldn't release them then, would you? I mean, I'd be afraid to.
Okay, so let me repeat her question. If you're in a neighborhood, all right? You're walking down the sidewalk and you're walking like people do with dogs like this at 5:30 in the morning. Everybody out at 5:30 in the morning has a dog aggressive dog. That's right, Sandy? Never go to the dog park. We have client after client after client, right, Sandy, who sits in our office and say, I only go to the dog park at 5:30 in the morning. And internally I think, I am never going to the dog park. But because all the dogs there, right? So in spite of your best efforts, you're walking down the sidewalk and you see another dog, right? So I'm not sure so I'm going to sort of work my way up to what your question is because I'm not positive. You say watch and your dog watches.
And you always said release, and I'm saying I wouldn't release them until the dog, say the dog's not a leash.
Oh, it's a great question. It's a wonderful question because here's what I do. Okay, so you're walking down the neighborhood and your dog sees a dog and you stop and you say, watch. Good boy, good boy. Yes, I would release them. But then what would I do? Right. Very important question. Thank you. Because I would not keep standing here and letting that dog get closer and closer and closer. I would then turn away and get out of there. You need to manage the distance between dogs. So if there's a dog that you don't know coming towards you on the sidewalk and they're far enough away you think your dog can handle a watch, ask for a watch and then manage the distance at which you're working at. Because you can move, you know. So they're coming right at you. You're walking along. Watch. Good boy. Let's go across the street. Or let's do a U-turn. I actually tell my clients, don't do neighborhood walks for the first 3 weeks. Just avoid them. You don't have to. There's nothing but trouble there right now. You know, and they'll tell me, like, I try so hard, but, you know, there's a loose shepherd a block away, and these dogs he goes crazy with, and they're behind a fence, they never come out, but 100 yards before we get there, he starts going crazy and barking and lunging because he knows they're going to be there. Don't walk in the neighborhood until you get your foundation down. They can live without it for a while. They can go for 2 weeks without walking in the neighborhood. Yes?
If you added a leave it or an off before you started that, before your dog physically had made the motion, that your watch is not 100%, or if you're in a smaller area where you have to pass each other because you really don't want the dogs to connect, is that in any way harmful or hurtful?
I don't think it's harmful. I think it's a really good question. Say you have a dynamite leave it. And all of a sudden you're in the vet clinic or something. You know? My first advice to you would be a U-turn. And I'll tell you, we had a member, I actually talk about it in the Feisty Fido book. By the way, all these things are talked about in that blue Feisty Fido booklet back there. So I explain watch and U-turn and the emergency sit-stay for loose dogs. All explained in the Feisty Fido booklet. But if I was surprised by a dog, I would not say leave it. And here's why. Because so often signals are context specific, and so what I've just seen over and over and over again is people will say leave it, and their dog doesn't do it. Because it's like, you never taught me leave it around a dog. You taught me leave it with food in your hand. You taught me leave it with food with a tennis ball. You taught me leave it with a dead rabbit. You never taught me leave it with a dog. So often, because the context is different, it doesn't work. And if you're going to practice in that context, why not do watch? You know? So if you have a dynamite leave it that really works across all contexts, then absolutely. You know? You can even go to a trick. I love to have people train their dog one silly trick. He'll give me 5. You know, it's hard to be aggressive when you're sitting on your haunches doing this. You know, it's great to teach your dog a trick that when they start to get a little anxious, you can go to, give me 5, okay. You know? So if you have something really, really well trained, you can always go to it. But in my experience, usually what happens, if you get surprised that the dog is over their head, you're better off to get out of it. And this U-turn client I was telling you about in the Feisty Fido class, she came to class the 3rd week, and she was just beside herself. She was so excited. She said, I got to tell you what happened. I got to tell you what happened. I can't believe it. I always go to the vet clinic late when there's like no other dogs there because my dog is, I mean, how many people have been there? You know, we've all been there. I can't go there when it's normal, so I always go after working hours, and they know about my dog, and they're really great, and they accommodate me. And I was there at like 8 o'clock at night on Thursday, and I walked in the clinic, and 10 feet away was a dog. And I was stunned, and so was my dog. But we practice U-turns like Marines practice their drills. We mastered a U-turn, and this is the key to get the human to do it. We mastered it such that we never knew when we were going to have to quickly pivot and turn. And we mastered it so much that we both looked at that dog, and both of us simultaneously turned and walked away. And we got in the parking lot, and it wasn't until we got in the parking lot that we even realized what we'd done. And she was just like, it worked! It was so cool! We didn't even realize what we'd done until we'd done it, and it worked. She was ecstatic. But she practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced so that she could do it. She mastered it. When she needed it, when you need it is when you're not thinking, right? Muscle memory. Exactly. You need this muscle memory. That's why I say it's a sport. Yes, you had something. How are we doing?
A dog that also responds by lunging and barking to just the sound of another dog barking, not
Yes.
just visually seeing it. In case we're two Shelties and they're always on leash because they don't have a fence, and he even hears another dog barking in the neighborhood and he redirects on the other Sheltie.
Oh, got it.
Would you then train that when he just hears a neighborhood barking?
I would. Did you guys hear? Okay, I'll repeat the question. She said, if you have, for example, and I only can do a couple of sort of, slight variant cases, but it's an interesting one. If you have, say, for example, you happen to have, just theoretically, two Shelties, and one is agitated and aroused just at the sound of other dogs barking and will redirect on the Sheltie beside. That's very common, by the way. You get one dog who will redirect onto the dog. First of all, I know this is hard to do, it's easy for me to say, but I would start walking those dogs separately until you get a handle, until you get a dog responding the way you want. And yes, I would say watch the microsecond that dog alerts to the sound. Because doesn't he turn his head to the sound? Do the watch right then. It doesn't have to be visual. It can also be anytime your dog targets towards another dog. And one of the ways to work up to this, by the way, is when they're sniffing where dogs were. Have you found that Sandy, I don't know if you found this, but that dogs who are often really dog aggressive dogs are the ones who come in our offices and they sniff the floor obsessively. They don't greet me. Do you find that? They don't greet me. They don't say hi. They are all over the floor for 20 minutes. They're just obsessed with what dog was here and who was he and how old was he and what does he eat. And, I don't know what they know. Anyway, but so yeah. So one more question, then we're going to move on. Yes? Oh, I thought, who did I say yes to? There were 3 of you over there. I'll do them both then, just to eliminate possible stress and conflict. How about you in the front first and then you in the back second? Back to the loose dog. That's the next thing we're going to do. She said, what about if the loose dog is coming at you and doesn't stop? That's what we're going to do next. That's why I can't take too many more questions, because it happens so often, right? He's fine. Yes, what was yours? Absolutely. Yes, and can I just repeat that so they could hear? She said, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, couldn't you use this on dogs who like trigger on bicyclists? Yes. I swear to you, I feel like we could all close up shop because it's like, this works. And anytime a dog focuses on something else and does something inappropriate, if you teach an incompatible behavior, which is, it's all about, rather than forward, remember we talked so much about forward and backward? It's turning this into this. And a U-turn and a watch are very similar in one way, is that both of them teach the body going backwards. And a U-turn is just easier because the whole thing goes. And the other is stay here but turn your head. And a U-turn is turn away. The stimulus, rather than stimulating you to go forward, the response, the automatic response to the stimulus is to turn away from it. And it works with dogs who go after bicycles, dogs who go after cars, dogs who go after cats, dogs who go after running kids. So yes, I've used it very successfully. And again, the trick is you have, as you've seen, I hope it's been really clear, you cannot just tell people this. It won't work. You have to coach them through it because they will not do it right. A bicycle comes faster and it looks weirder, but you can control a bicycle. You can get somebody on a bicycle and have them stop and then go slowly, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we're going to move on to the he's fine. Did the Siberian Husky ever come? No. Okay, well, we had another dog who we're not going to use now. That's okay. Can we just go right to Eddie then? Why don't you go get Eddie? We're going to bring out a third dog. Let me get you Eddie's notes. Not going to see Nick. We were going to see a little Siberian Husky named Nick. Eddie is a Belgian. He's an intact male. Now, Eddie does not launch anytime he sees another dog, and as a lot of the dogs do. That's not Eddie. They have to get a lot closer, a lot closer. And we're going to work through using these methods and getting closer and closer and closer because there's several different places you can stop with this treatment. A lot of people, all they want to do is walk their dog in the neighborhood or be able to walk their dog around a conformation show or compete in agility. Dogs are always, except when they're, agility is like, because they're off leash so much. But they want a dog who they can be around other dogs on leash and not be dog aggressive. And so if you want somebody who just wants to walk down the neighborhood, everything we've talked about, the dogs get closer and closer and closer, you're fine. And the progression, the way I do it, if I'm working with a consultation, is I'll see them in my office first. Then I'll teach them watch, I'll teach them U-turn, I give them the Feisty Fido booklet. They come back a couple of weeks later, they come to my farm. And then we say, okay, now it's time to start doing this with the dog. So we have the dog off the dog's territory, off, somewhere else, somewhere neutral to them. My dogs are totally used to doing this. I can control the dogs in space and time. And we work through such that they can get my dogs at my farm moving, both of them moving simultaneously on a pass-by. Then we'll take my dogs to my office where there's a small fenced grassy area in back, and we do familiar dog, unfamiliar place. Then we go familiar dog, my dogs, to their neighborhood. And then you do unfamiliar dogs in their territory. The hardest thing, obviously, is going to be the familiar dog, meaning they're not in the pack, they're not buddies, but they've seen this shepherd for the last 2 years, and every time they see them, they bark and lunge at them. That's graduation, the dog they've been barking at for 2 years on territory in the neighborhood. So that's the progression. But what if somebody wants more? What if somebody wants dogs who can, be hanging out right beside other dogs, maybe at some kind of a dog event, and they're okay with having a dog sit right beside them and maybe smell them and maybe greet them. So we're going to work our way up to that. And Eddie's going to help get us there. Come on down. Hey, Eddie boy. Watch that screen, too. Hey, Eddie boy, you my buddy? Are you my buddy? Oh, you're my buddy. Hi, Mama. Hi, Mama. Everybody's watching me, Mama. Did we smell something? Oh, I don't want her treats. No. Ooh, I like Mama's homemade liver treats. Oh, I do. Now, does he know a looker? He knows a look or a watch, right? Why don't we just practice that? Come over here and try to have him not look up there. We could actually use that, couldn't we? Graduation, the biggest dog in the world. Get out of your way. So why don't you just ask for a couple of, what do you call it, watch, look? Watch. Okay, ask for a couple of watches. He's very distracted. And by the way, since he's helping us out by he's a little nervous. Did you see the 2 tongue flicks? It was a little hard for me to focus now, Mama. I didn't actually go over really clearly exactly what you do. If you say watch and they look at you and then they turn their head away, I said it quickly, but I'm not sure I said it carefully enough. When he turns his head away, I want you to avoid saying watch again. Oh. And the reason I say that is because I think if we do that, I'm always trying to think, what do they get? from what we're saying. And if you say watch, and he looks at you for a while, and then he turns his head away, and then you say watch again, and he looks back at you, I'm thinking, what would they think? But, okay, watch means look at her for a while, and then I can do what I want, and then we'll start again. Watch, okay, I'll look at her for a while, and then I'll turn away, and then she'll say it again. Okay, I want him to know, no, I don't want you to turn your head until I say okay. So rather than repeating watch, just do that. Just do what you do if they don't look at you in the first place. You just prompt, again, using prompts, prompt him, lure him back up, and then as soon as he's back, good boy, good boy, good boy. So let's work on he's a little nervous. Actually, let me just, are you a little nervous up here? Oh, I don't take treats from her. I'm just too nervous. So let's see. Will he take treats from you?
Yeah.
Good boy. Good. So, yeah, he's eating. Good boy, good boy. That's fun up here. And ask for a sit. Why don't you ask for a little simple thing? As I'm scared, Mama. Oh, good boy. Good boy. I know he's facing the other way. I don't want to move him for his sake. I think he's facing that way because he doesn't want to look at all of these eyes peering at him. So I would ask her to move him around except for his sake. Yawn, stress yawn. I think that would be a mistake. But I can report to you that his eyes are just like this. Oh, good boy. Don't look there. No. Did you see it? He's got that wrinkled brow, He's just a little nervous. I'm up here. And he was up here earlier before you guys were all here, and he was fine. It's this mammalian mass. All these eyes. So be sure to breathe, sort of move. One of the things that happens when dogs are, not so much now, but when you're working a really aggressive, like human aggression sometimes, and everybody out there is thinking like, is he going to bite her? It's like, is he going to bite her now? Everybody stops breathing, and you have to say, please breathe, or he will bite me, because when they stop breathing is when they're about to go. And we do it too, and keep that in mind with dog aggressive dogs. If you're at the other end of the leash and you're starting to get worried, it's very important for owners to do lots of, I am always coaching them, breathe, go schlumpy, move your body, because what we tend to do when we're nervous is just what dogs do. We stiffen, we do closed jaw, and we stop breathing. And if you round your eyes, you're basically saying, I'm ready to attack, are you? you know? So I'm avoiding having him look at you. You just sort of stay loose and schlumpy. He's a sweetie boy. He's a cute little boy. He's a little waggy tail. You're waggy to the body. Oh, you're a very handsome boy. Oh, who's that over there? Oh, you're a very handsome boy. He's a very handsome boy. Does he love to do anything in particular? Does he have a little trick he thinks is cute, do you think?
I don't know if he will now, but
Do you see what?
spin.
Oh, it's a little bit. Oh, I'm a little nervous, Mama, because I have to go turn and look at all the people to do that. I have to stay up here and look at Mom. Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy. Good boy. So what I'd like you to try, good boy, is just try a watch, and it's going to be like, Eddie, watch. Okay, treat. Watch this, anything. Take anything. Treat. Okay? Good. She didn't say, okay, I don't care. Right? Good. Okay, ask for it again and try for the release. Good boy. Okay. So do you say okay as a release? Which is fine. Whatever you do, I just want to be clear.
Sometimes.
Gotcha. And and a lot of us, it's like, there but go I, right? And again, another example of being clear. What does good boy mean? Do you have a release for stay? When he's on a stay, what do you say?
Okay.
Okay. So I would incorporate that into your repertoire. I would say good boy, and then okay, right? Click, click. Boy. No, I'm so nervous, Mama. I'm so nervous, Mama. Yes, I am. So this is a great example of, this is a dog who basically is in a condition in which if we possibly could, which we can't, but if we possibly could, if we were in a seminar, if this was just a consultation, I would say, okay, we have to change things. I would put all my dogs in the house. I would say, let's just hang out here in the yard and do walking. So what we can't do is like just walk around, although we can a little bit. Is that shepherd in the other room? Okay, put the shepherd, if you would be, this woman, we owe our undying gratitude to her. And what I would like to do, and I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to ask you, I just want you to just walk him around, because a lot of times it's not being able to move that makes animals tense. Why don't you just walk him around, walk him up. There's the two, we're not going to go over there, okay? There are 2 CCI dogs over there. So you're going to walk around there, you're going to walk there, and just walk around a little bit. And while you do, I'm just going to talk a little bit. Good boy. And I'm going to explain this method, and then we're going to see if we can get it to work. You're going to watch that door. Can you just shut that door, Sandy? Okay. Let me explain what we're going to do, and then we'll try it. This is about what to do about those loose dogs. And if I ever needed your faith, it's now. Because I want to warn you, at least half of you, and I so understand this, and I think I would be one of the half, are going to hear what I have to say and go, in a pig's eye. No, not on your life is that going to work. And I wish I had the client I just saw before I came here who said, when he came back for like session 3 to the farm, he said, him and his wife, he said, I got to tell you, when you told me that, I never believed you. I thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard. I never believed you would work. And you know what? I did it. And you know what? It worked. And he was just so pumped. And she was like, I know. So he didn't believe me. She did. Here's what can help. You're in a very difficult position. You're with a dog on a leash. You cannot let your dog off leash. You're walking down a neighborhood and you see a loose dog coming. What the heck are you going to do? How many of us have seen their owner and yelled at the owner, call your dog back, right? They can't. They don't have that kind of control over their dog. Or they say, no, it's fine. Well, he gets closer and closer and closer. The first thing I have to tell you is that I can't possibly compete with that. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. He's a sweetie. Yeah. So I'm not good enough to compete with a really cute dog. So the first thing that I can convey to you is to train yourself or train your client to stop trying to get the other person to control their dog, because it doesn't work 3/4 of the time, right? Now, try it. You know, I'm not saying don't try it. So you're walking down the street, you see a dog running at you, you see the human behind them, and you need to say, my dog's aggressive, call your dog. You know, do not say, sorry. Sorry, Alta. I'm sorry, Alta. I'm sorry, baby. Everybody give her lots of back rubs at lunch. And earplugs, maybe. But the reason I said it that way is because if you just say, what most of us say is nothing that works, right? They'll say, it's okay, it's fine. And you're like, no, call your dog, please. You know, or somebody, you try to explain, you have to say something quick and fast that gets them to act. And practice it. It's just like a U-turn. Decide what you're going to say. I don't care what it is. Decide what you're going to say and practice it so you're not stunned and surprised, because you're going to be surprised, and when you're surprised, it's hard to think. You don't have time to think. So you're going to just blurt out what you practiced, which is, no, my dog's a problem. Call your dog. Stop your dog. And be thought, some people's like, I don't want to say my dog's aggressive because I'm afraid I'll get sued or something. You just have to decide what you're okay with saying. Make it short and authoritative. Now, assume that will work only 25% of the time at best. What do you do next? Here's what we're going to practice. And I'm going to tell you it first, and then we're going to work through it a little bit. Here's what I call the emergency sit-stay. You are going to proof your dog. You are going to practice this in context such that you're walking down the street, you see a loose dog, you can go sit, stay, and you leave your dog behind you because they've been proofed to sit and stay while you walk forward and you start working the other dog. So this dog is coming to you. You focus right on the dog. You're in between this dog and your dog. It's 20 feet away from you, and you go, sit, and half of them will. And it's stunning. People don't believe, it's just half of them will, half of them won't. There's no magic to this, you know. All I can tell you is things that keeps making things be on your side, right? Sit. Half of them stop. They do. They're like, okay. And then you say, stay. And I am not making this. It sounds like I'm making this up, but I swear to you, I just saw another client last Monday who said, I just did this. I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe it worked. That other dog sat and stayed while I went back and got my dog and put him in the car. So it's sit, sorry, she took him off, stay. And if your dog is proof to sit and stay while you're doing that, they're behind you, you still have the leash, and you're working this dog. If they keep coming, which they might, you do what I learned from Trish King, which is you always have your bait bag with you, and you get a handful of treats, and you go, and you throw them at the dog's face. And first of all, just these little things hitting his face stops him. And then he goes, oh, it's chicken. And then he spends 5 minutes getting the little pieces of chicken in the grass while you get out of Dodge. Another method I learned from Trish that I love, except I would never be organized enough to carry an umbrella with me, is you get out your you get out your umbrella. The dog's coming at you, you whip out your umbrella and you go, and you open your umbrella. Now you have to be quick on that and say, I'm so dysfunctional athletically, I would be the one going like, I can't get it open, you know? But that's worked for some people. There is, in extreme circumstances, you think about using a can of Direct Stop, that citronella spray. And I want to warn you is that that's not magic either. The only thing I like about carrying something like that is it makes you feel empowered. I've actually learned, I was once in a situation where I was off leash, loose, 100 yards from my car, in the middle of the country, 100 yards from a house with 3 dogs attacking me with nothing. And boy, did I learn my lesson. Never, ever, 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 ever again, Tricia McConnell, ever, ever, ever get out of the car without something in your hand. And one of the first things they teach people who are like animal control officers is never, ever, ever be in a situation where you don't have something in your hand, because at least you can have them bite it. You know, at least you can have them bite it. A bag, even a stick. I'll use a stick. I'm not saying you're going to beat the other dog, but if you can whoosh it in front of you, it increases the space that you can guard around you. And it just makes you feel stronger. And if you switch from like, oh no, to, oh no, your dog is going to know it, and it's going to change everything. Well, not everything. It might change enough to get things in your side. Yes? Oh, she had a dog walking service. On the front lines as a dog walker.
And I learned that stray dogs, especially, there's no owner.
Right.
My number one rule is no dog touches my client's dog. So what I do is I place the dog behind him, step in front of the dog, let the dog know he's turning with the end of his dog. And then I usually, dogs have what's called an orienting reflex, and if you can yell, no, they'll usually just stop, and you're now using their brain. You're not just coming in and going, whoa.
Sure, sure.
They stop, they think. That buys me enough time to, if I can see a dog coming from a distance, dogs hate flying projectiles. Find a handful of rocks.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to repeat what you're saying, because people can't hear you. So let me just repeat what she's saying, bless you, is saying, I sort of did everything you did, and you know what? It really works. What she said, she says no, so that's also, you want to do, you basically, she put the dog behind her just like I do. You get, basically the message is, you're dealing with me now. Not meanly, don't get aggressive. It's just like, here I am, this is between you and me, you know, hi, here I am. Xena, benevolent warrior woman. You know? And I'm either going to say sit, she says no. Trish goes no. Throwing the food, she would throw, Paulette, is it? Rocks, gravel, just something to stop the dog, and then stay, and then you collect your dog and you ease your way out of there. And is it going to work every case? Of course not. Of course not. Is it going to work in a lot of them? Yes. It decreases the probability. That's all you can do is keep getting things on your side. Yes. And then we're going to work with Eddie.
It's been said that dogs mirror, your emotions and stuff. So if you're trying to teach this dog that you're okay with other dogs coming by him and coming close and stuff like that, if you do get in this situation and you have to do something like that, no, is that going to set your dog back? I mean, will they see that as, oh my God, mom's afraid of this dog, or mom is
It's a really good question. She said, given that dogs can mirror your emotions, if you get like at this other dog and you go, no, is that going to make your dog think, ooh, mom's scared too? If you say no like that, absolutely. But if you say sit, stay, or no, because are you sounding scared? No. That's why, you need to practice. Because you have to practice this with a loose dog. And I have my clients practice this because I can stop my dogs anytime. And so what you can do is you can have a dog on if you either use your dog that you can trust totally and 100%. Remembering, if your dog doesn't listen to you, they might get hurt really badly. So don't mess with this. If you're not 100% sure your dog will down when you say so, then you put him on a long line and have a loose dog and have somebody, a trainer behind you just as a safety net. Or you might even have a fence in between you. Only set this up so it's safe. But don't think you can do this until you've done it with your dog-aggressive dog or a dog where the stakes are really high and a dog that you perceive as a loose dog coming at you. And again, you can practice in sort of incremental amounts so it gets sort of scarier and scarier. But so let's just I want to just stop on the questions for a second and let's just see how Mr. Edinburgh goes up here. Or maybe we should actually do it down here. Let's try. All I want you to do now is practice this sit-stay. So just ride the river with me, and we're going to back up a little bit, and I'm just going to show you how I would coach a client to work on proofing the sit-stay. Because it sounds easy, but as you well know, I mean, the first thing that most clients say is, my dog's not going to stay, you know? And so that's what you need to prove. So all I want you to do is you're going to ask Eddie to sit and stay, and he's going to be right here, and then while he's staying, you're going to rock forward one step and rock back. Good boy. Treat, not release. Right? Okay. And then rock forward one step. Treat. Good boy. And then release. So you're just doing the first. By the way, if you don't have a dog who stays in the same direction as you are, which a lot of people don't, you actually have to get that done first. So a lot of dogs, you say sit, what do? They come around to the front. They haven't competed in obedience or something. A lot of family dogs, you say sit, they come around to the front, like we talked about yesterday, come around right to the front of you and sit and stay. You need to have a dog who's comfortable sitting right beside you. So that's the step one if you don't have it. I think he'll sit beside you happily, right? So that's actually the first step with some dogs. So just try step 2, which is a sit-stay as you start to move away from him. Sit. Stay. Rock forward and back. Treat. Good boy. Why don't you release him now? Okay. Good. Do it again. Stay. Walk forward. Good. Brought back. Good boy. Treat. And when you say good, be sure it's like good boy. If it's good job, it's going to release him. Okay, good boy. Remember that inhibiting sound we talked about yesterday? Good boy. Good boy. Now release. Okay. Now do it again, and this time you're going to go sit, stay, and you're going to go. Okay. And then when you come back, it's good boy. Yep. Yeah. You're always. Don't ever let anybody drop the leash in this one. You know. So if you're practicing this, and you're going to really do it in real time, you're never going to drop the leash here. Okay, so try that. Sit, stay. Sit. Yeah, go ahead. Good boy. Treat. Walk forward 2 steps. Back. So nervous. I'm so nervous, Mama. And release. Okay. And now next time you're going to do it again, and I want you to say, sit, stay, because that's how fast you're going to need it, right? One of the things, we've all learned so many things from so many people, and one of the best things I ever learned from Ian Dunbar was, this was a gazillion years ago. Sorry, Ian, but I'm that old. I don't know, it was maybe 15 years or 20 years ago, and he talked about how you have to train people to teach their dog to come when the owner is panicked, when your voice is panicked. So in our advanced class, we have an advanced, I haven't done it this summer, but there's an advanced at the farm class where dogs are in a 6-acre fenced pasture, but it's not just flat grass. It's very hilly. There are a lot of places you can't see your dog. Half of it is wooded, highly variable, sort of real, out in the middle of nowhere with your dog kind of thing. It's fenced and it's safe, but it doesn't look like it. A lot of places you can't see your dog. So people practice. It's all about having your dog listen to you off leash in a highly distracting environment. One of the things we practice that's sort of fun is that to graduate, you have to have your dog do a downstay and have my sheep be herded right in front of your dog, off leash downstay. Not everybody passes that particular. Some of the huskies are like, you maybe want to keep your leash on here. But actually, way more people than they think can actually do this. And it's the biggest high in the world when they realize they have that much control over their dog. It's very cool. But one of the things that Ian taught me to do, so none of you can take this class now, one of the things that I learned from him is that it's one thing to call your dog when you're just sort of perfectly normal and happy. It's another thing to either call your dog to come or stop your dog when you're panicked. I actually teach a stop. So everybody works on come. Everybody works on remote flying lie downs and remote sits. But somewhere around week 5 or so, everybody's on a little break. We've been working on all this stuff for half an hour. It's like, okay, everybody let the dogs run free for a couple of minutes. We'll just have a little break time, sort of a little break at the dog park time. And everybody's loose and everybody's running around and people are chatting. And I'll just sort of disappear. And then all of a sudden, I poke my head out of the woods shrieking. And I'm not going to shriek. Shriek, but I'm really panicky. And I shriek, down your dog, the sheep are loose. Down your dog, the sheep are loose. And people are like, ah! Ah! And their dogs are, what? I've never heard that signal before. So one of the things that I want you to practice, and I don't want you shrieking at your dog, but I want you to practice saying, sit, stay. Because you look up and there they are, and it's like, sit, stay. I need to handle this. Okay? So now I want you doing great, and you're doing great, you handsome boy. You're a very handsome boy. Yes, I love you. Yes, I do. You're a good boy. It's Obama. So I want you to just do just what you're doing, but I want you to say, sit, stay a little faster. And then you're going to go walk, walk, back, treat. Yes, walk. You're walking forward, and just give a little pause, because it's really advanced to go walk, walk, sit, stay while you keep walking, right? So go ahead and give them a little pause.
Sit, stay.
Forward, forward, back. Good. Good boy. And release. And now I want you to do that with you not looking at him, because you're not going to be able to look at him. I want you to look at me. Okay, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to look at me.
Sit, stay.
It's all right. It's all right. You got to practice this, right? Good girl. Walk backward. Treat. Walk towards me. And okay. That's okay. That's all right. And go back. And just lure him back. And visually ask him to sit and stay again.
Sit.
Visually. Sorry. When I said visually, I didn't say it clearly. Talk about being clear, right? I wasn't clear. That's my fault. What I meant was, and didn't say clearly, was use visual signals without saying anything. Because what I wanted him to know was, we're not starting over because you did that wrong. We're not done yet. You did it wrong. You broke your stay. So I'm going to sort of prompt you back into it, but we're not starting over again. Okay? And you see what happened? When she started changing her focus to me, he broke. And so this is a very important part of the proofing. Okay?
So I would just use hand signals?
So yes, so if he breaks, then just sort of go back to where you were and just hand signal him back. Okay? We'll try it again.
Sure.
And maybe only take one step forward, but concentrating on me.
Now this time, did I say sit, stay?
So when you start, you always say sit, stay when you start. It's if he breaks, you don't repeat it. Make sense? Okay.
Sit, stay.
You're fine. Just, and go backwards. Good boy. Give him a treat. Don't release him. Give him a treat. Look at me. Walk one step forward. Walk back. Give him a treat. Would he be okay if somebody else just held him back there? Okay. Could somebody? Hi, sweetie. Is that your buddy? Is that your friend? That's my friend. Hi, that's my friend. Hi, sweetie. So you're just going to hold him back there, and you're going to have a pretend dog.
Oh, okay.
Remember I talked about working without a dog? Best thing in the world. So, okay? So you're going to go sit, and you do, by the way, use both in the beginning, all right?
Hand and voice.
You want every reason to have your dog listen to you out there. Sit, stay. And you're going to look at me and walk forward, and then walk back. Good boy. If he starts to break, you can see him out of the corner of your eye, and best is to sort of body block. Okay? Okay. So actually, you know what? We're going to switch for a minute. I'm actually going to be you,
Okay.
and you're going to be my dog.
Alrighty.
Okay?
I have to sit down.
No, you don't. All I want you to do is stand there.
Okay.
But what I want you to do is, at one point, I don't care when you decide, so I don't know when you're going to do it. When I'm moving away from you, I want you to break your stay. Okay? And don't barrel past me because I don't want to, like, fall off the stage and run into you. I don't want to deck you, yeah. I don't want to deck your dog either. Okay, so you're my dog, all right? We're walking along. Sit, stay. Good. Oh. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. Good. Good boy. So what I did is, while I was sort of doing something else, she moved forward. And I didn't catch it quite as quickly as I wanted to, but that's going to happen. Big deal. So I just sort of hunched her backwards a little bit and then said, good, good, good dog. Good dog. Visual stay. Forward. Good dog. Now this time stay there.
Okay.
Good dog. Because this is what's going to happen, right? Because they're going to break sometimes, they're not going to break others. Dog. And then I'd release. Okay, so we're going to do it again. So we walk around a little bit. Walk, 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 walk. Sit, stay. Good dog. Treat. Good dog. And you can use this hand as a helper. You stay back here, and I'm working on you. And that's a great, you can sort of signal your dog this way. Good dog. Good dog. So what you start doing is you move from sit, stay, good dog, to sit, stay, good dog, without any dog being there. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? Let's try it a little bit more. He's a good boy. He's a mama. Oh, he's a good boy. Hi, sweetie. Can I get off the stage now? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Okay. Well, you know what? I messed that up. I did that wrong. I'm so sorry. Would you take back again? Okay. Okay. So you're just going to pretend you have a dog, and I'm going to be an approaching dog. And it really is helpful to do this without dogs. If there's ever a time to do this without dogs, it helps. Okay? So I'm the dog. All right? Now, if you're playing the dog, don't be the worst dog in the world. Give them a break, you know? Make it easy for them, okay? Okay, so. Yep, yep.
Sit, stay.
And what do you do now? Good. 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 Okay, we're going to do that again. Okay. Pardon? Of course we can. Why don't you come? Good girl. Okay. And I'm going to be right here. Is this good? Okay, you go backwards a little bit. There, stop. Okay. So you're going to walk like 2 steps and then do sit, stay. And I'm just going to sort of appear in your frame of reference. And then you're going to put your dog on a sit, stay, and move forward, looking right at me, and then go back and treat your dog. And just so do sort of the easy steps. I don't want you to feel like you have to do the whole sit, stay, sit, right? I want you to do the easier part. I want you to go sit, stay, rock forward, look at me, come back, treat your dog. Okay? Okay.
Sit, stay.
Good. Okay. So you get the idea, right? It really helps to practice this without a dog. So you're comfortable with that muscle that you entrain your muscles and your brain to all act in concert in a certain way. Okay, you good boy, sweetie. Oh, good boy. We're not going to do him and another dog. Is that obvious why? I don't even need to say, right? Too high an intensity level. Too much to do. I need to go through one more thing before we break for lunch. Are you guys okay for 5 more minutes? You're all right. You've been sitting a long time. You've been very patient. We've done a ton of stuff. Why don't we let Eddie get off and very quiet little. Oh, thank you. And after Eddie goes by, then that nice shepherd deserves a nice round of applause too. What I want to do is, and if there are questions about this, we can answer them after lunch. But what I want to do is show you one more video. I have to run down and get the video, so hang on. The dog who is had one of the worst cases of dog aggression I've ever seen. Not that he hurt so many dogs, because his owner was too responsible, but that I have rarely seen a dog who had so few social skills and was such an emotional wreck when he saw another dog. If he saw another dog at 2 blocks away, he began bound, bark, shrieking, and leaping. He was absolutely hysterical, clinically hysterical. That's how he was when I met him. It started, the dog was from a shelter. She took the dog to class, to beginning class. A little beagle puppy came up to sniff him, and he, in a microsecond, and I'm guessing about this part, stiffened and piloerected, but I'm just guessing because I know him so well. But before anybody could do anything, he grabbed the beagle by the head and squeezed and shook. He almost killed it. And when he was working with my dogs, first of all, we had to okay, go past the barn. Okay, that's too close. Okay, go, let's see, go behind the barn. I had to create as much distance on my 14-acre farm as I could for us to begin to work on this dog watching around another dog. He was just hysterical. And when we got to the point, I've worked with this dog for almost 3 years now. His owners are the owners from heaven. They're absolutely committed to this dog. When he got to the point where I could even have my dog shoulder to shoulder with him, they got closer and closer and closer, and they could get shoulder to shoulder. He would take treats, and my dog is sitting right beside him, and he was okay. But if you put those dogs in a situation in which was a greeting situation, he could not handle it. He would, if you put one dog behind a gate, he wouldn't go anywhere near that dog. He would back away. He was like, okay, I'm not going to be aggressive now, but I can't deal with this. I cannot handle greeting another dog. So she worked on auto watches and U-turns just like the ideal client, as hard as you can imagine, and got him so good at it that we got to the point that we conditioned him to a muzzle, and then what you're going to see is him loose, and this is huge to me, him loose with my Luke. And I want you to watch how I manage Luke and how she manages Oscar. So what you're going to see now is Oscar. You want the audio? I don't need it. You're going to see, this is the first time Oscar has been loose. This is actually the second time. Right before that, we did him with Lassie. This is the second time in his life, first time happened 10 minutes before, he has ever been loose with another dog since he bit the beagle, basically. And one of the things I want you to concentrate on is that I'm managing Luke very carefully. And I'm always trying to keep Luke's head away from him. First of all, Luke loves other dogs and goes to greet them. He's choosing not to. That is very meaningful, and I'm letting Luke do that. She just asked for a watch. Actually, you know what? Can you turn the sound on easily, Alta? I am so sorry. I don't know if the sound's good or bad. Let's see how it sounds. Every time he goes over to Luke, she's going to ask for a watch. And he does tons of auto watches, and we're just thrilled with it.
Don't pee on me, Luke.
Don't pee on me, Luke. Oh, yeah, leave the sound on. It's going to be good. That was the camera person.
He's up higher on his
Look at his tail, by the way. And he's piloed. He's stiff. He's way more nervous than he normally is. And look at Luke. I don't see a dog. Do you see a dog? And he's doing just what you want your therapy dog to do.
Yeah.
Turd would call those calming signals.
Doesn't have to be a social butterfly with everybody.
Nobody's hurrying anything. Nobody's coaxing anything into anything. Don't rush this. By the way, basket muzzle, very important, not a Mickey muzzle. Basket muzzle is attached behind the ears and with a strap over between the eyes back to the collar. As soon as Oscar looks at Luke, she's going to do, that was an auto watch. And that's exactly what we want this dog to do. If he went over and stood by Luke and was allowed to stand there and sniff, he'd work his way up into aggression. You know that dog who greets fine? Hi, 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 and in 2 seconds attacks? This is exactly what you do with dogs like this, is let them greet, approach, call away, approach, call away. There was another one. He just looked at Luke, and she turned his head away. She either watches or she waits for an auto watch. And what I'm doing is my job is to keep Luke from making direct eye contact with him, which I'm not having to work at too hard. Oh, good boys, good boys. Very good boys.
Were very nice, just because the dog. It really doesn't bother you, or you just condition them to not react to that, like when I was looking like the back, I think some of both.
Oh, good boy.
Luke, good.
And you see me, Luke. I called Luke, Luke, turn your head away, son, because that was just enough. It's just the quickest, little briefest, direct contact. Whoa, hello. Sorry, I needed Alta. Oh, good boy. Wonderful, good boy. This might look like nothing to you. This is huge. This is just huge. She actually was crying because this was such a big deal.
So this is there's a lot of learning here.
Good boys. So briefest contact, pull away. Contact, pull away. Contact, pull away. So you can turn that off. You get the idea. And if you turn the lights back on. So again, you're using U-turns and watches as you get closer and closer and closer. Eventually the dog is free. Both dogs are free. Obviously you would never do this without exactly the right sort of treatment dog. I don't know what I'm going to do when I won't even go there. When I lose Luke and Lassie. Yes?
One was on the treatment dog. Do you ever feel that at all this can cause aggression?
It's a great question. And let me answer that one. And then I'm going to answer one more, and then we're going to break for lunch, and then I'll answer more questions after lunch, okay? Because you guys must be ready. No, I'm just going to answer that one. I'm going to have to stay, answer that one, because I think people are probably ready to get up, right? Okay, let me just answer that one question, actually, and then I'll answer more after lunch. Does this ever hurt the treatment dog? It could. And I'll tell you how I did it wrong at first. I used to allow more contact between the problem dog and my own dog. You have to decide what's right for you. My little Pt2, my third border collie, worked dog aggression cases for about 6 years. She was brilliant. She was perfect for dogs, especially who are afraid of other dogs. And after a long, lengthy evaluation, I would say, okay, I'm really comfortable, and I would watch Pip. And if Pip was basically like, I really want to, I really want to work with this other dog, I would say, okay, take your dog in the small fenced enclosure. You go up to the middle. You take your dog off leash, but hold on to them so that they don't meet at the gate. I'm going to bring my dog in, and then I'm going to release her, and you let your dog go, and you let your dog do what they want. And usually what would happen with the fearful dogs is that Pippi would lay down like 40 feet away from them, and they would be like, oh. And then she was so sweet and so submissive and sent so many, like, I'm just not going to bother you. And she read dogs beautifully, and she would only move up to them as she perceived their comfort level increased. And she probably worked, I don't know, 300 dogs. But twice she got scared. She never was badly hurt. I think she was never punctured ever, but I made a huge mistake, and I felt badly about it that I just basically never allowed it to happen again. What happened is I was with a dog, the owner that I thought was okay, Pip thought was okay. The dog had never injured another dog. It just sort of did these little rah-rah, rolly things, but rude, really rude, but no bites, no injuries. I thought the dog was okay. Pip was acting in a way that I thought Pip thought the dog was okay. The owner, and this is my mistake, was like, and this was my mistake. I never should have let it happen if she was that nervous. That was a complete big mistake on my part, no question about it. I made a big mistake because she was clearly like, no, I don't. I was like, no, it'll be fine, honest. I've done this for years. Pip is really good at this. I'm sure it'll be fine. And they were greeting, and her dog was very stiff, and Pippi was sort of on her back and being like, hoo, 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 hoo. And I was like consciously breathing, and her dog was standing over Pip and sort of stiff, but I thought all right, and looked up at his owner's face. And as he looked up, I turned my head, and she was, and her dog attacked Pip. And he never punctured, but I think she licked her legs. I think he did bruise her some. It didn't last for more than 2 seconds, but Pip was terrified. And I felt so badly. So yes, I think you can. If you make a mistake, it hurts to tell you the story, but you know what? I'm human. So after that, I went, okay, I never want to feel like I felt like that again. So what I do now is I go much slower. I use lots of muzzles. I do the progression I did with Milo, and my dogs love it. And they've done it for years. And they're like, when I have a dog aggression case come to the farm, all my dogs are taught, when dogs come up, you all have to go in the study because it's back away from any windows. So it's like, dogs, there's a dog aggression case, go in the study. So all 4 dogs go in the study, away from the windows. And then I talk to the owners, and then I go back in my house, and I go through the dining room, and I go through the kitchen, go through the living room, and I go to open the study door, and I say, dogs, wait. And they're like, pick me, pick me, pick me, because they get goodies, because they get Windsor Castle treats and organic chicken, for doing what they're supposed to do. And they love it. They just adore it. So if you do this wrong, you can set them back. And when I've had a couple of dogs bark and lunge at Luke, and he's like, but he's also the right temperament. I can never change. You can't change personality. And Luke has always been, if a dog goes after him, he's like, oh, you're making an ass of yourself. And Lassie's great because Lassie has a very different temperament. Lassie worships Luke, who is her father. Lassie is a female border collie. You saw her yesterday working cattle if you were here. She doesn't care if the rest of the dogs fell off the face of the earth. She's 9.5 years old. She's never been in a fight in her life. But other dogs are like, yeah, whoever, And sometimes she's like, oh, don't get all, if somebody's like all over her head, she'll be like a little like lippy, and I'll say, Lassie. Otherwise, she's like, sniff, sniff, yeah, you're a dog. Okay, fine. Where are the people? So she's great. She's perfect. She's the best. I start with her because she lies down there like, I'm happy on a downstate because I don't really want to greet you because you're a dog. I don't really care. So she puts no social pressure on them. Luke is the next one. Luke is harder because Luke is like, okay, I'm on a downstate, but I love dogs and I really want to say hi. I really do. And I still use Pip, and I use Pip third because I sort of took her off because I felt so badly for about a year or two. But she's like, please, please, I love doing this. I want to do it some more. So I use Pip after I know the dog better. And then I use Tulip, my great big huge Pyrenees, who I would never have loose, who I would never be able to trust to do a downstay while all heck breaks loose all around her. She's on a tie-out, you know. But she's learned to love it too, you know. Oh boy, here they come. And sometimes she'll bark at them, so she's like farm graduation dog, you know. Anyway, it is lunchtime, and we have to decide when to come back. When? Yes? Yes? We have so much to talk about. We have so much to talk about. And our goal, I'm not going to say it that way, we're trying to end. You know what that means? Like, can you come tonight? Well, I'll try. You know what that actually means is, well, no, but I'm not willing to say so, right? So I don't want to say, well, we'll try to end at 4, because what that means is, like, we're not going to. My goal is to end at 4 or a few minutes after, but no later, because I know a lot of you have a long drive, and you have dogs at home who need walking, etc. And it's Sunday afternoon, and you've been an amazing audience. But what that means is we have no time whatsoever to talk about a huge topic, which is dogs who are problematic with each other inside your home. Before we do that, I have 1, 2, 3 quick announcements. One actually relates to this morning, and one of your colleagues came up and reminded me of something that they've used that's just a great, probably one of the most useful pieces of information you're going to get. We're talking about the subject of stopping the oncoming dog, right? And what she said is that she walks with a pooper scooper, right? She's just, you know, in one of those situations. And she was walking, and a loose dog came barreling. Actually, oh no, it was a dog on a tie-out whose collar broke. So this dog is like, blah, 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 collar breaks, bang, you know. Dog is missiling aggressively right at her dog and attacks her dog, actually. And she finally got them separated. And then she used the scooper to, like, keep him away. And while she's, like, you know, body blocking the air with the pooper scooper, she swung it by his nose, and she said, I could see him smell it. And it stopped him. And I forgot, is it John Rogerson, not a Brontes, who's just great in a lot of cases, but I think I learned this from John Rogerson, is he gets plastic packages of poop. And he actually uses it as a punishment for his clients' dogs. They start to go for a dog, and he throws a sack of poop on their face. I can see that being effective. I haven't taken that on as my particular, in my repertoire. But I'll tell you, to stop a dog who's running at you, you know, poop, a bag of poop in your face, I mean, that's going to get a dog, talk about ethologically relevant stimulus, you know? So do keep that in mind, because I think that's actually not a bad idea. 2 more announcements, and then we're going to get going. What I talked about this morning is in Feisty Fido. If we run out of them, don't worry. We'll send it to you without any shipping charge. And what I'm going to talk about this afternoon is outlined anyway in Feeling Outnumbered. And again, there's a Dog Aggression Seminar videotape that is the same information, but obviously different dogs, different contexts. So, I had one other thing, but, oh, I know what it was. Terrell is going to Africa with me, and Bonnie is going to Africa with me. Is there anybody else here who's going to Africa that we haven't just sort of run into? And if that was true, Bonnie, would you raise your hand? And Terrell, raise your hand so the 2 of you can connect at break. Okay. And by the way, if you can't go for whatever reason, never fear, because the vision is that 3 years or so from now, we go to South Africa and we go for wild dogs. We go looking for African wild dogs, okay? We're going to see in Kenya, we're going to see tons of jackals. We're going to see tons of canids, bat-eared foxes, golden jackals, and black-backed jackals. And hyenas, who are like in a whole other category, like, whoa, are they bizarre. Okay. Here's what we're going to do this afternoon. We are, thanks to this kind woman here, thanks to Dina, she has brought in a dog who has issues in the house with her other dogs. Is this going to replicate your issue? No, because once you start talking about issues within the home, it does matter. That, you know what I talked about this morning is like in some ways it doesn't matter because you treat it the same way. It's the reverse, frankly, in this case. All the details matter. So every single case needs to be talked about carefully with a thoughtful evaluation. So am I going to give you information that's going to work, solve all of sort of every problem? No, I'm not. I have no take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning for this one. But I have some things that generally, universally seem to always help. Or almost always help, I should say. So I've found over the years that I think the most useful use of our time on this topic is to get sort of master a focused attention on one particular issue. And in this case, we're just going to do something similar to a consultation. We're going to ask Dina just a whole raft of questions. I'm going to start, and there's some rules about this, and the reason there are rules is that if everybody out there asks her questions, she will be beaten into a little piece of sawdust hiding under the stage, because if you ever had 200 people asking you a question at the same time, no matter how benevolent you are, if there are 200 of you doing it, it's just, so all questions come through me, Alpha Bitch. You will ask me the question, I will point to you, you will ask the question, I will repeat it so the group hears it, so make your question very succinct. And here's why. People can't hear you. So while you're talking, they can't hear you. So they're sitting in the back going like, because I ate lasagna and cheesecake and So make your question very short, and I will repeat it, and then she'll answer it. What we're going to do is we're going to do a mini consultation. This is not exactly how I would do it if I was doing a consultation. Usually a first-time consultation for a serious aggression case takes about an hour and a half. We don't have that long, so we're going to do a shortened version of it. And I want to warn you, when we're done asking questions, you're not going to feel like you know enough. But here's something that's very important for you to remember, and I suspect that Sandy, who also sees aggression cases, will concur with this. After you've done an hour and a half consultation, do you feel like you've learned everything you need to know? No. They don't have the time and the energy and the money to tell you everything you need to know. And that took me a long time to learn. You can't keep them there 2.5 hours. They're exhausted. They need to leave with something to do. So part of what I want you to practice is learning how to get the basics of the things you absolutely have to have, be okay with stopping there, and moving on from there. So after we get information from her, we're gonna give Sasha a break, and I'm going to talk about some general methods that help in general within home issues. Show a little video, show a few slides, talk a little bit. And then we're going to bring her back, and you're going to break up into groups, and you're going to create a treatment plan for her, okay, in small groups. And then we're going to get back together, and we're going to talk about it. And by then, it will be 9 o'clock tonight. No. So that's what we need to guard against. So I'm just going to settle right over here. I actually need...
Work, does it?
I think you're not turned on yet, but I think it will.
Okay.
Once we're ready... Hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. Oh, Sasha went to the groomer. And the groomer heard she was going to be on the stage. Hi, Tootie. Hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. How's he doing? How's he doing? So are you mic'd?
Yes, I'm mic'd.
Can you guys hear Dina?
Can you hear me?
This is Dina.
Okay.
And this is her little keezy, Sasha. Hi, Sasha. And how old is Sasha?
She's probably about 7.
7 years.
Yeah,
Spayed
7.
female or intact?
Spayed female.
Okay. By the way, I'm going to just start asking questions for a while, and then let me just ask. I'm feedbacking. I'm feeding backing. I'm sitting right under the speaker. Better? Is that better, you guys? Okay. Okay. So I'm just let me ask a couple questions, and then I'll open it up. Okay, so she's a 7-year-old spayed female.
Right.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you what I always ask everybody is, would you give me like a chapter title? Don't give me the details, but tell me in as clearly and succinctly as you can, what is it she does you want to change? What's the aggression problem within the home?
And it should be a title, not a
Well,
paragraph.
it could. A short paragraph is fine.
She has fixated on one other female in the house, and the two of them can now live together okay, to the extent that they can sleep together on the bed.
Ooh, okay. Yay.
But if there is a sudden noise, like a doorbell,
Okay.
ringing telephone, somebody shouting, or another dog barking in the environment.
Really? One
she
of your
will-
dogs barking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, remember that
I think
it's
she
not,
has 12.
No,
24
24.
dogs.
I do rescue, and so many of these dogs are up for adoption.
Right.
So,
Right. So anybody want a dog, by the way?
yeah,
Talk to
we've
me.
got lots. So if another dog barks, and it's a certain type of bark, she will, even if she's in another room, she will race to find this particular dog.
And what's
who's
this other female's name?
Hope.
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 Poor Hope. Okay.
Hope is three-legged.
Okay.
Yeah, she does fine. And Sasha will race to find Hope. Hope will race to find Sasha, too.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
this is mutual.
It's a mutual, but in watching it over the last couple of years, my sense is that it's more Sasha looking for Hope.
Okay.
Okay. She will race to find Hope, and they will go at each other like this.
All right. Contact or just?
Now it's no longer contact. It
Oh,
was.
she's way better. Okay.
Yeah. But typically they don't hurt each other.
Okay.
You don't want to be in between them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Jaw fencing, that's called.
Jaw
Blah, blah,
fencing.
blah, 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 blah,
Exactly.
blah, 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 blah. Teeth flashing. You know.
You also do not ever want to have one dog on one side of a patio door and the other dog on the other side, or one
Okay.
dog in a crate and the other not, or between some sort of like a
Barrier.
child barrier.
Like barrier
gate.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Gotcha. And then lots of fence fighting.
Oh, yes. To the
Okay.
extent to which they will actually tear at the
They'll bite at
gate,
anything.
they'll
Okay.
gate the gates or whatever.
They'll
And indeed,
redirect and bite at an object. Will they ever redirect to another dog?
Sometimes, but typically not.
And what does sometimes mean? Like in the last
Rarely.
5 years, twice?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It
Okay.
depends very much on whether there are other female dominant dogs in the nearby vicinity, and there can
So it
be.
would be if it was to another dog, it would be to another high status female.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So is Hope spayed intact?
Yes.
Okay. Another spayed female. How old?
She is probably close to the same age.
Okay. Around 7. And how long have they known each other?
Well, now they've known each other at least 5 years,
Okay.
6 years.
And how were they when they first were introduced?
Oh, that's a. I think they were probably pretty good initially.
Okay.
But the problem is that Sasha was adopted out, bit a number of people, and was brought back.
Bad girl.
And when she came back in, that's when this problem began.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And how long was she gone?
Actually, about 2 years, maybe
Oh,
2.5 years.
okay. Gone 2 years.
But
So when she came back, do you remember their first encounter when she
No.
came back?
that I do not
Okay.
remember.
That's all right. It's
But
been a
I
long
do
time.
know that it was sufficiently severe that they drew blood, and my first inclination was to separate them, like so many other people.
Sure. So
Wrong.
this is their first fight. And do you remember, was it like the first day she came back or 3 months later or?
It was not the first day.
Okay.
It takes several days, maybe a week or two before.
Okay. Okay. So it
This
wasn't
one
6
feels-
months.
No.
And it wasn't 1 day.
No.
And it wasn't 3 months.
No.
So maybe 2, 3 days or a week or two.
Couple weeks, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After this one settles in, feels comfortable.
Right. And that's why I was asking, by the way. Does she have to get her paws on the ground first to feel like she's on territory? Okay. Okay. And so there was a fight, and it was a bad one?
Yep. And in fact, I think there were several fights.
Okay.
And then I started to separate them.
Okay. And how bad? What is bad?
Well, bad is going to the vet with wounds.
Okay. So punctures, vet care, and be, let's just get all the gory details here. Were there like lacerations all over the body?
No.
Were there throats ripped open? You know,
No,
where
wasn't.
were the injuries? And because sometimes that matters. And how serious were they?
Well, they were serious enough to require antibiotics to treat, and I don't think we ever got to a stitching situation.
Okay.
But
And do you remember where the bites were? Where did they bite
yeah,
each
they
other?
they're typically on the feet and at the rear.
What?
She's
Silly.
hard. She's relaxing.
What? She's relaxing? What do you mean?
No, I mean, I'm trying to get her to
You're trying
relax.
to get her to
Yeah,
relax.
She's
Yeah.
obviously very tense,
If
but she's...
and one of the things, everybody's in the front row. You want to guard against this, which is what I would be doing if I was sitting there. So
Well, that's
everybody
why
in the
I've
front
turned her-
row sort of consciously sort of sit back, breathe, spaghetti, you know, cheesecake, lasagna. Think cheesecake and lasagna, you know. Stay awake, but be really mellow.
Also,
You nervous up there,
little,
Tootie?
sudden
go away.
laughter, sudden sounds, okay?
Sudden laughter. And remember, this is the dog who goes after the other dog when she hears sudden sounds. I'm the only one up here now.
Well, don't make it so quiet that it's also abnormal.
Yes, because that's a really good point, is if everybody just stops breathing and becomes silent, then it's like, ooh, what's going on? Okay. 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 Just making a little note here about when I'm taking a history. One of the things that you need practice at, because it takes a certain amount of skill, is you need to multitask in that you're writing down, you're asking questions and writing down the answer to the question. At the same time, you're watching the dog, paying attention to the dog, and writing down what the dog does. So you really have to multitask. There's occasional times when there's a problem that's serious enough, especially if it's human aggression. I actually say leave the dog in the car for us to talk for a little bit, because we can't focus, because we're all about like, if I move wrong, he's going to bite me, you know. So I'm sure you are, but obviously this is a great time to sort of learn about Sasha as we talk. Some people have clients fill out long questionnaires beforehand, and that's perfectly reasonable way to get information. I personally, there's no right way. I would never say there's a right and a wrong way. I've thought about doing that. I've done a little bit of it. I just personally like it better to ask all the questions first. We ask a couple of questions. Does your dog have food allergies? Who's your vet? You know, we ask a couple things on a questionnaire that they mail back. But I like to have a long time to talk, because I learn so much about the dog. I mean, just learning about how she's behaving, how you're handling how she's behaving, all this stuff is really important, right? Okay. So we know she's very sound reactive,
Yes.
whether hope is there or not, right?
Correct.
Now, what was this, and I know this is not about aggression to people, but you may or may not know, do you have any reason to believe the bites to people were also in reaction to sound?
No, I never saw one.
Okay.
But the description was that it was more well-meaning people who, yeah.
I love dogs.
Yes, I love them. And oh, aren't you sweet? Oh,
Gotcha.
tongue.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Newspaper boys throwing the newspaper.
Okay.
That sort of.
All right. Okay. So let me ask you this. after, you may or may not remember, because you know it's always hard after years have gone by. Can you tell me as best you can what you did during and after these fights? You know, the first couple, before you separated them, what did you do first
Before
of all,
the fight or
right,
during the fight?
During the fight, first of all, what did you do? How did you separate them? Did they separate themselves? Do you remember what happened in a couple cases?
That's hard because I've been in so many since then that I now know what I
Got 24 keys out.
I mean, I know what I do now. I'm not sure that's what I did then.
The way you did then.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you learn, right?
Right. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And it is, memory is really poor, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know about all the research on memory that you can have an absolute, you are positive that you remember what happened and it's not accurate, right? You know that.
Yeah.
Memory has nothing to do with reality. Do not ever think your memory is an accurate version of reality. It is not. It's not the way your brain works. It's fascinating.
I mean, so I can tell you what I do now, but I don't know that it's the same.
Can you remember what you did in years past that you changed?
Well, clearly you never get between the dogs. You don't try to separate them by...
Okay. Did you ever remember doing that with them?
I probably didn't do that. I think by that point I'd learned that was not a very useful thing to do.
So did you have to separate them or did they stop themselves?
I had to separate them.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yes, I had to separate them.
And after you got them apart, were they both like, I want to keep it up? They both wanted to. Okay. Do you have any sense, and again, we're just guessing here, and we need to be really clear that we do not know what's in these dogs' brains. Sometimes people have a sense that may or may not be accurate. If you left it keep going, whether they would have continued or whether they would have stopped themselves. And sometimes people say, I know he would have killed her. You know, it doesn't mean they were right, but I'm just curious what you would say.
Well, I think that's a fascinating question because initially I felt that indeed that was going to happen.
Okay.
So I kept them separate. Then I went to Purdue, where there is a behavioralist.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Took both dogs over there for a consult. And his reaction was, well, you should not be keeping them separate, but you need to do this slowly, okay? And begin to introduce them and let them begin to socialize with each other.
Okay. And how long ago was this? 3 years, 4 years?
It was certainly 4 to 5 years ago.
Okay.
So what I did was I hooked up little clicks on the edges of a room,
Little tie-out-like places,
places, and put them both on leads on the tie-out.
Okay.
And slowly let them over a period of couple of weeks begin to get closer and closer.
Okay.
Now,
And did you reinforce any particular kind of behavior? Or?
No, I watched.
Oh, okay.
And then one day, totally by accident, I had a lead that was too long.
Right, happens. Yep.
And I tied one out and tied the other out.
And you thought it was fine,
I thought it was fine.
Right.
And lo and behold, one went after the other. Now, which one went which way, I don't really remember.
Okay.
And I was absolutely astonished to see that they stopped dead in their tracks.
they
They got
did.
right there, and then they stopped. Oh.
Come here, Duty.
I don't know which way
Bring
we
her
can
over here.
go.
Come here, sweetie. Hi, darling. Hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. How's my girl? How's my girl? Oh, she's a good girl.
She's so stressed. I don't know if
sit?
that will.
You sit? Oh, she's a good girl. You got very big pupils. We have very big pupils. Yes, we do. Yes, you got very big pupils. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. If this bothers her, if we turn it off in the back, can you still see us sitting up here? No? Okay.
No, that's
we'll work
not
through it then. Hi, sweetie. We'll just keep you looking this way. Yes, we will. We'll try this a little bit, and then after a while, we'll try a little downstay. We might do a little, if I had a stuffed Kong, I would give that to her now in my office.
Well, I brought this along, but she's pretty stressed. I don't know if she will try.
Okay. Try it in a minute. Okay. So they stopped themselves this time.
Yes.
Good.
Now, they didn't stop growling or barking,
Okay.
but they just were
They
positions.
didn't.
They did not go for each
Good.
other.
stop there. Advance. Growled, no fight. Okay. Any fights after that?
I think there probably were on and off, but
Okay.
it got progressively better.
Oh, okay. So, okay, occasional fight after that. And that's when you started developing this pattern of she's okay unless there's a loud noise. Is that right?
That's when I began to observe that that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can tell you what she does,
Sure.
or what both of them do. I'd be curious what your interpretation is. If they're going for each other,
Okay.
like the doorbell is rung, and they're snapping at the air, Hope typically, probably because she's slightly smaller, stands in front, and Sasha will mount her. Now, not mount not from the back. It's always always from the side, and she sort of puts her paws across the shoulders.
Cut it out.
And what?
Stop that. Do you see what she's doing? She's
Yeah,
telling me, give me a treat,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah. That's right.
She is. She just did an offensive pucker.
That's right.
You little rude thing, you.
Yep.
Stay. Good girl. Good. Pushy, pushy. Okay. Good girl.
Now, this is the
Good
point at which
girl.
I would simply ignore it. Stop.
Girl.
Because she will get extremely pushy.
And that's telling us a lot, isn't it? Tamara was talking about you learn a lot by sort of working with them. And so everything she did was like inch, push, push, push. So everything you're telling me, she is confirming. She's like, give me an inch, I'll take a mile.
That's right.
Give me an inch, I'll take a foot. Give me an inch, I'll take more. Little Miss Pushy Girl. She actually did like, you know, give me the food. No. You're not going to get it. Now, does she do a downstay?
She'll do it down. I don't know if how long she'll stay.
Why don't you try it? Let's just sort of see.
Sasha, down, down. Now she'll roll over. Here, down, down, down.
I'm so clever, right?
Sasha. Sasha. Down, down. Stay.
I'm so cute.
Down. No. Down. Sasha. Good girl. Good. Sasha.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Hey, sweetie. What's this? What's that? Thank you, Sandy. What's that? You want that? You just chew on that while we talk. Is it going to stay there, or are you going to lose it? Uh-oh. Wait. Good girl. Wait. Let me take it.
Okay.
Good girl.
Would
This is not going to work. Yeah, that's my pencil. Hey, sweetie. Hey, sweetie. Good girl. I don't think it's going to stay there. I think she's just going to keep pushing it off.
I could try to put it over here and see if I can hold on.
Hi, sweetie.
She won't. I'm pretty sure she will never bite me, but she will growl.
Pretty sure?
She's never bitten me.
Pretty sure?
I'm never sure.
Got it. But there's a
With any dog.
probability statement, right?
Yes.
Right? And I'm never 100% sure.
Never.
But I would still bet my farm, which I love, you know, like life itself, that Lassie wouldn't bite me if I took something away. But I'll bet you wouldn't bet your farm. What's the probability statement? 95? I mean, I don't want you to do it, but I guess all I need, you know, we know what we need to know, which is that this is not a dog who is one of those dogs who is like, I'm never sure, but, you know. She's obviously a dog who's like, well, you know, she has some major status issues, right?
Yeah.
And there's a possibility she might be growly to her. She's never bitten her yet. You're very thoughtful about her, right? So we know a lot, okay? So
if I wanted to take it away from her,
you could.
I would get her attention on me.
Gotcha.
First.
You wouldn't just grab at
I
it
would
first.
never grab at
Right.
it with any dog.
Right. Gotcha. And see, I would with a whole bunch of my dogs, but I would never do it with a dog I didn't know.
Right.
So it says a lot about her. Okay. I don't know how long this is going to stay on the stage. May or may not work. Okay. So tell me, I'm so interested. We got off tack because you were this fascinating story of the doorbell rings.
I'm sorry, the what?
We're back to the incidents where
Right.
there's a sound. The
Right.
doorbell rings.
Right.
The two dogs find each other.
They have to find each other.
And then you were saying Hope stands in front of Sasha like a T, like
Yes.
sideways, or straight
head to
on,
head, almost head to head.
head to head, very aggressive, very assertive, head to head, and then
And then Sasha sidles up to the side of Hope, right past the head, puts her paws up on top of her shoulders.
arm around.
Now,
Those of you who were here yesterday, arm around, right? A precursor to standing over, a precursor to a status-related mount, all right? Okay. So we have this.
and typically, if you don't intervene, typically wait a few minutes, like maybe 60 seconds, and slowly Sasha will move off, and everything is quiet.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if at some point I used to intervene. In fact, I do actually at some points intervene. That is to say, after everything's quiet, I never say anything until it's quiet. And when it's quiet, then I just say, Sasha, off.
Okay.
And she slowly moves off the door.
Okay. Okay. And if the noise keeps going? If somebody went ring, 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 ring,
Okay,
ring, ring, ring,
if the
ring,
noise,
ring, ring,
oh,
ring, ring.
it'll pick up immediately.
And it would escalate. Would it
Yes.
escalate into a fight?
At this point, I don't think they would meaningfully contact each other.
Okay. So they're not separate now.
No, they're never separate now.
Okay. So
Well,
it's
that's not true,
way better. She's done a lot of stuff that makes this way better. Okay. Okay. What would you like to change?
I'd like to change. I'd like to change this interaction because, in an environment where there are a number of other dogs, particularly ones that I may not know that well, it gets everybody into motion.
Gotcha.
And so these two, I know, are not going to ultimately contact.
But you're worried about the other dogs.
I know that some of the others may go for each other.
And has that ever happened?
Oh, yes. It sure has.
Oh, yes. And I presume all 24 are not loose in your house. Oh, do
Yes.
tell me.
Yes, they're all 24 use.
And they're all loose.
They're all loose.
Oh, my goodness.
Plus
Tricia says.
4 pussycats.
Okay, all 24 loose. Okay. And so you think this is a trigger to set other dogs off?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, it's not always a trigger. It depends very much on the other dogs,
Sure.
how long they've been there, their own personalities,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. But if you could get this to stop, you would have fewer reasons for other dogs to set off.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me ask you a few more questions, and then I'm going to open it up, all right? And again, remember, questions come through me. And I want to warn you again, we're not going to get as many questions answered as we want. We just do not have time. But you know what? Again, you never do. You do not in a consultation. Okay. What does she know in terms of if she's, tell me what she will do if you ask her to in 2 different contexts. 1, or really 3, there's nothing else going on, and you have food. 2, you don't have any food, and there's minor, low-level, moderate distractions. 3, high-level distractions. So in other words, if you ask her, so she knows sit. Well, will she sit, in all 3 of those categories or just one of them? So like, tell me what you can ask her to do that she'll respond to.
Well, certainly in the first category, she'll respond.
So she knows, so we're talking about sit now. So,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so she'll sit.
Right.
Will she sit if she's a little distracted?
Yes, I think we see that a little bit here, that she wants to respond. It's the extent to which she's anxiety-driven. So, yeah, she will.
Okay.
In the third situation, I'd say maybe 40% you might. get it.
Okay. What else does she know?
Besides sitting down?
Yeah. So she knows sitting down, okay. And is down about the same way,
Yeah.
okay. What else does she know?
Probably a little bit less reliable. And she comes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, when I took her out into the parking lot, I lost her. She pulled loose, and we were close to the car, and I said, "Come," and she went right to the car and
Good.
sat down.
Okay. Okay.
This is nothing I would ever do.
Right, right. And you know what? It happens. None of us intend for that to happen. But if the doorbell rings, would she come when you called?
No.
I don't think so. Don't think so. I'll bet she wouldn't. Okay. And anything else?
Well, let me just modify that. Initially, no. If you wait a second and then say it again, and the doorbell doesn't ring in between there, she would probably come.
Gotcha. Okay. 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 And is that the same with Hope? With Hope's level of training?
Hope is better trained.
Okay. Okay.
Hope is not as anxiety-ridden as Sasha.
Okay. Would you describe Hope as a status-seeking dog?
Yes.
Would you describe her as a status-seeking dog? Say yes.
Yes. I have some difficulties with those terms.
I'm going to talk about status, as a matter of fact. I didn't say dominance. Did you notice?
That was excellent. I like that.
We're going to talk about